Some stories are so unsettling, they crawl into your mind and refuse to leave. One such story is the Russian sleep experiment, a tale of horror, government secrets, and the limits of human endurance. Allegedly conducted in the 1940s, this experiment is said to have pushed subjects to the brink of sanity and beyond. But is there any truth to this terrifying tale? Or is it just a modern-day horror myth? The story begins in the dark days of the 1940s, during the height of the Soviet Union's quest for dominance. According to the legend, Soviet researchers conducted an experiment designed to explore the effects of extreme sleep deprivation. The idea was to keep 5 prisoners awake for 15 days to study their mental and physical reactions. The goal? To see if they could create a super soldier who could go without sleep. To keep the subjects awake, the researchers pumped a stimulant gas into the sealed room. The prisoners were promised freedom if they could stay awake for the entire period. For the first few days, the subjects were relatively calm. The effects of the gas seemed to work. They remained awake and compliant. Conversations among them became increasingly fragmented, and their physical appearances began to deteriorate. But by day 5, the mood shifted. The subjects began to display signs of paranoia. They stopped talking to each other and started whispering into the microphones. The researchers could only listen, their unease growing with each passing hour. As the experiment reached the 6th day, disturbing behaviors emerged. The subjects started screaming, crying, and displaying extreme aggression. One by one, they tore at their own flesh, ripping muscles and skin with their bare hands, all while being wide awake. The subjects' vocal cords tore, silencing their screams, but their behavior only became more disturbing. They smeared the walls with their own blood and food. The experiment was spiraling out of control, but the researchers couldn't stop it. They were too captivated and perhaps too terrified by what they had unleashed. On the 11th day, the screaming stopped. Complete silence filled the chamber. Through the microphones, researchers could hear faint whispers, murmuring things that sounded like pleas and confessions. When they finally opened the doors on day 15, what they found was beyond comprehension. 4 of the 5 subjects were alive, but barely. They had inflicted self-mutilation, tearing muscles and organs from their own bodies, seemingly without feeling pain. They begged the researchers to turn the gas back on, claiming they needed it. Their physical appearances were so altered that they hardly resembled humans. According to the story, the experiment ended in disaster. Some say that the subjects attacked the scientists in a fit of unstoppable rage, while others claim they were killed by the researchers to end the nightmare. Either way, no official record of this experiment has ever been found, leaving us with more questions than answers. Many believe this story is pure fiction, a terrifying internet myth born in the early 2000s on horror forums. It resembles the structure of a creepypasta, a genre of online horror storytelling where disturbing ideas are crafted to resemble real accounts. But others insist that it could be based on real government experiments from the Cold War era, or a cautionary tale about the ethical boundaries of scientific exploration. Whether the Russian sleep experiment is true or not, it holds a haunting place in our minds. It forces us to ask ourselves, what are the limits of human endurance? How far would someone go to survive, even when driven to madness? And perhaps most unsettling of all, what lengths would a government go to in pursuit of power? Ultimately, the Russian sleep experiment reminds us that sometimes the scariest stories aren't about monsters or ghosts. They're about the darkness within ourselves.